The British royal family has been plunged into mourning following the death of Catherine, Duchess of Kent, who passed away at the age of 92. Buckingham Palace confirmed her death earlier this week, stating that she died peacefully. The announcement was received with sadness across the country and beyond, as tributes poured in for a woman remembered for her dignity, humility, and quiet service. Catherine, Duchess of Kent, was married to Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, a first cousin of Queen Elizabeth II. Through her marriage, she became a member of the royal family during a period of post-war transition and national change. Despite her position, she often chose to step back from the limelight, preferring a life of service that was more private than many of her royal peers. She was known for her interest in education, her patronage of music institutions, and her quiet but enduring charitable work. Her death marks the loss of one of the most understated yet significant members of the royal family. Known for her humility, she avoided constant public attention but maintained a steady role in supporting causes close to her heart. She gained respect not only as a royal, but also as an individual guided by faith and conscience. Queen Camilla led the tributes, offering words that captured the essence of the Duchess's life. In her statement, the Queen described Catherine as a woman of kindness, dignity, and deep faith. She noted that the Duchess never sought attention, but always gave it, and that her life was a reminder of the quiet strength found in compassion and service. Queen Camilla emphasized that Catherine's influence extended far beyond her official position, and that her impact would continue to be felt long after her passing. The Queen's tribute set the tone for the nation's farewell. It underscored the respect with which the Duchess was held inside the royal family and in the wider public. By acknowledging her humility and dedication, Queen Camilla ensured that the Duchess's memory would be honored not just as a member of the monarchy, but as a figure whose character spoke louder than her public role. The Duchess of Kent's life contained moments of personal courage that shaped her public legacy. One of the most significant was her decision in 1994 to convert to Roman Catholicism. The move was historically important, given the British monarchy's long relationship with the Church of England and the legacy of religious divisions in the nation's past. Despite this, Catherine followed her conscience and quietly embraced her new faith. She did not use it to attract attention or controversy, but regarded it as a personal act of conviction. The decision drew widespread respect and demonstrated her willingness to live in accordance with her beliefs, regardless of precedent. Her faith remained central throughout her life. Those who worked with her in charitable and educational fields often spoke of her compassion, her patience, and her belief in the dignity of every individual. She was known for supporting projects that helped young people, particularly in music and education, and she saw these as ways of giving opportunities to those who might otherwise be overlooked. Her interest in music was more than symbolic. She actively engaged with schools and programs that sought to nurture talent and give young people confidence. Public reaction to her passing has reflected the respect she earned over decades. Organizations and charities remembered her as a patron who cared deeply about the causes she supported. Musical institutions highlighted her involvement in expanding access to the arts. Individuals who encountered her in person described her as approachable and warm, a royal who carried herself with grace, but without distance. Her death has also created a moment of reflection within the royal family. Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, mourns the loss of his wife of more than 60 years. Their marriage, which began in 1961, endured through decades of public duty and private life. Together, they raised 3 children: George, Earl of St. Andrews, Lady Helen Taylor, and Lord Nicholas Windsor. Each of them has spoken of their mother's influence, recalling her faith and kindness as guiding forces in their lives. King Charles III and Queen Camilla join other senior royals in paying tribute, recognizing the Duchess as both family and as a figure of continuity within the monarchy. Her passing removes one of the few remaining links to the post-war generation of royals who often lived quieter lives of service. For the King and Queen, the death represents not only a personal loss, but also the closing of a chapter in the history of the royal family. The funeral arrangements are expected to reflect her character. Unlike the large-scale ceremonial events associated with senior royals, her service will likely be modest, centered on her faith and her wish for dignity. The ceremony will gather members of the royal family, clergy, and representatives of charities she supported. It will be less about spectacle and more about reflection, honoring her life as she lived it, simply and sincerely. The national reaction has been one of quiet mourning. Tributes in newspapers and broadcasts have highlighted her humility, her charitable work, and her faith. The tone has been respectful, avoiding sensationalism, reflecting the way she herself lived. Her legacy has been described as one of service without seeking recognition, an approach that contrasts with the demands of modern public life. Catherine, Duchess of Kent, was part of a royal generation that valued discretion and restraint. In an era when public roles have become increasingly visible, her life stands out as an example of authenticity and modesty. She demonstrated that service could take place behind the scenes, and that influence could be exercised through personal kindness rather than constant attention. Queen Camilla's tribute was especially significant because it placed these qualities at the forefront of the nation's memory. By honoring her dignity and kindness, the Queen highlighted the values that define the Duchess's life. Her words also reminded the public that the monarchy is not only about public duties and national symbols, but also about individuals whose personal character shapes the institution. The Duchess's passing also invites reflection on the changing nature of the royal family. As younger generations take on more public roles, the memory of figures like Catherine serves as a reminder of a different style of service. Her life showed that restraint and humility can coexist with duty, and that influence can be measured not by visibility, but by authenticity. Her legacy will endure in the charities and organizations she supported, in the family she guided, and in the example she set for future royals. She will be remembered as a woman of faith who lived with conviction, as a royal who chose simplicity over grandeur, and as a figure whose kindness left an impression on all who knew her. For the royal family, the days ahead will be filled with mourning, reflection, and ceremony. For the nation, they will be an opportunity to honor a woman who contributed to public life without seeking its rewards. The Duchess of Kent may not have been in the spotlight, but she shaped lives quietly and powerfully. As Queen Camilla said in her tribute, the Duchess never sought to be noticed, yet she will never be forgotten. Those words capture the essence of Catherine's life and legacy. Her passing closes an important chapter in royal history, but her memory will remain a lasting part of the story of the monarchy. In the end, the Duchess of Kent will be remembered not for spectacle, but for sincerity, not for grandeur, but for grace. Her life was an example of how faith, humility, and kindness can define a legacy as surely as public recognition. Through Queen Camilla's words and the nation's respect, her memory has been secured in the history of Britain and in the hearts of those who admired her. Her funeral will mark the formal farewell, but her story will continue to resonate as a reminder that true service is often quiet, that dignity requires no display, and that kindness is its own lasting monument.